Welcome on in, everybody, here to the pregame Blitz at Auburn Undercover. Nathan King, joined by Jason Caldwell. It is one of the most anticipated Auburn home games we can remember in a while. Number one, because it is the first Power 4 home game of the year for Auburn, even though it's all the way in Week 7, and it is the Deep South's oldest rivalry. Always a big one. Auburn tonight against number 10, Georgia, 6:30 Central Time on ABC. And Jason, for all the reasons we've talked about this week, this feels like a spot for Auburn where I think back to when we did this pregame show last year when Auburn played Texas A&M. I remember you used that word opportunity over and over again. Now, different circumstances, this is very early on in the year, but that kind of game felt like there were ingredients available for you to get a big home victory. Auburn needs to play a lot better, but I mean, we've been around town the last couple of days. I mean, it is a frenzy here. These people are ready to watch some football, and they're hoping to cheer on what will be a good game.
I agree. I think opportunity. I think the fact that it's the first, big home game of the season is a big deal. I think this weather makes it a big deal because people want to come out here and be a part of this. And so you start talking about it, going, look, this is an opportunity, a great deal for them. And so, can you go out and make plays? I mean, we talked to folks already today, and they're going like, what do you think? I'm like, I think the same thing I thought the last two games. I think Auburn will have the ball in the fourth quarter with a chance to win. Can you go make a play? That's going to be the question. And can you go make enough plays to keep this crowd energized, because it's going to be wide open tonight.
Yeah, we'll start by looking at this Georgia team, and the reason we sit here, and I said it this week on our show, Jason, is like this feels like one of the more interesting Auburn-Georgia games of the last few years, because we don't just have this preconceived notion Georgia's going to come in here and just walk all over Auburn. This is a gettable, I think is maybe the right word. This is a very good Georgia team. They're going to be in playoff contention, I would imagine, for the rest of the season. Not overwhelmingly dominant at any one position. And it starts with a defense that has not done a very good job rushing the passer so far this season. The secondary has had some issues. And for Auburn, I mean, it could be a get-right game for Georgia's defense, maybe, but for Auburn, you're hoping a bye week pays off for your offense that obviously needed a ton of work over the last couple of weeks.
I mean, Georgia's big. They're physical. They haven't rushed the passer very well. But if you're Auburn, you absolutely have to run the football. I mean, you have to take some pressure off Jackson Arnold. You have to get in third and manageable situations. I think you need to bring tempo back. I think you need to give your offensive line and your quarterback an opportunity to go out and just make some plays without the defense scheming them up. I think it's time for you to scheme the defense up. And so I think you do that by going tempo. So, can you go do those things? But I think you got to run it. Even though it may only be 2 or 3 yards. Can you go run it, make a few plays, and give yourself 3rd and 5? 3rd and 5 you can live with all day long. 3rd and 12s are going to get you killed again tonight, because even though they haven't rushed the passer very well, look, if they're in blitz situations, you're going to get it, and you're going to get a lot of it. So for Auburn, you've got to avoid those. So to me, first down, again, we talked about it all week. That's the biggest down of the night for me.
Yeah, just, a 3rd and 5 or a 3rd and 6 would be such a massive departure from what Auburn has come to expect. We've beat this point over the head, but Auburn would have been better off spiking the ball on 1st and 2nd down in each of their last 2 games. I think it's an average between the 2 games of 10.9 yards on 3rd down. When you look at what Jackson Arnold's struggles and strengths are as a quarterback, any quarterback would struggle in those situations, but Auburn really just needs to get him back on his game.
Yes.
Now, it's easy to say, oh, look at what they did against Baylor and do that. Baylor's really bad defense, and you ran for a lot of yards, but we've talked about it over and over again, this RPO system, the first word in that is run of that system.
I agree.
And I think getting him with a little bit more tempo, you're just going to need him to be more comfortable in this game and not ask him to drop straight back so many times.
I think run and on time. Watching guys make plays today, watching offenses run, you look at RPO, and the thing is, RPO, get the ball out. RPO, get the ball out. You got to give them some more options in terms of what you're doing passing game. And I think Eric Singleton, Malcolm Simmons may be the 2 most important players in this game, because I think you've got to go with a lot of motion. You've got to try to keep Georgia's linebackers and safeties busy a little bit. So to me, how do you do that? You go back to what you did against Baylor, build off of that offense. They did a lot of motion. They didn't throw it to those guys a ton then. We saw the next game they did a motion wheel to Singleton for a touchdown, and then they haven't really done those things lately. I think you got to go back to that. To me, identity of this offense, to me, I think that's your identity, and I hope we see more of that tonight.
And you look on the defensive side of the ball for Auburn, I mean, again, this is sort of similarly good Georgia offense, not necessarily blowing you away in any one area. The big storyline today is that this could be, for the first time in a while, when you look at personnel at the line of scrimmage, either evenly matched, or I may give Auburn the edge in certain situations because of the question marks on Georgia's offensive line. It seems like their left tackle, Monroe Freeling, game time decision might be. We'll see whether he goes.
Yeah.
It seems like the right tackle's already out. Young guys along this Georgia offensive line who have just been okay so far this season. If you're Kieran Crawford, if you're Keldrick Falk, and those guys, you've got to try to get after the passer.
I think we may see Bo Hughley at left tackle. Obviously, LaDontrell Glover, Juan Gaston on the right side. It's a young, relatively inexperienced group. Even though Bo Hughley's an older guy, he just hasn't played a ton. To be in front of this group at night.
Yep.
The one thing I look at and I think about for me is that you have to keep Gunnar Stockton from being Matthew Stafford. Saw an inexperienced quarterback come in here one time and take the game over with his athleticism, and Auburn wasn't really prepared for it. Gunnar Stockton can run, can do things. You have to limit him running the football, and to me, that's it, line of scrimmage. Can Auburn win the line of scrimmage? If you do that and make him beat you throwing it, turn Keldrick Falk loose, turn Kieran Crawford loose on those young guys. Yeah. This is that. Yeah, we're talking about third down. Third down for both sides. Can you get them in third and long, and can you avoid third and longs? If you do that, then I think it's a great shot tonight.
Well, it's exactly what you just said, making them beat you through the air, because sort of the unsung part of this whole thing is Georgia's running game is good. Like, it is a power running game. It is something they're going to lean on.
They have stuck with it.
And they've done a really good job this season. Talking to Jordan Hill, our buddy at Dogs 247 this week, he said Mike Bobo has talked about needing to be stubborn. That's what Auburn fans want to hear on the other side, is just keep it at the in the running game. Jason, in a game like this that we figure to be a 4-quarter game, when Auburn's got all this atmosphere and it should be a great crowd, the little plays are always the ones that come back. You and I talked about it a little bit this week. This is a game where you've got to bring down the penalties. You never know when those are going to hurt you.
Yep.
A guy like Alex McPherson, that hidden yardage we talked about on the show this week that Hugh Freeze talked about, all of those little moments could come back to they're either going to come back to bite you in this game, or they're going to present you a better opportunity to try to win the game.
Special teams penalties, returning kickoffs, not starting on your own 6-yard line. Those are things that the year and a half have been killers for Auburn. Avoid those tonight, because you look at it, catch the punt, the short punt, that instead of letting it roll an extra 25 yards, go catch it, fair catch it, save that 20. Hey, 20 yards on that is massive. And so, those are things against Georgia. They're probably not going to help you out a ton. This is not a team under Kirby Smart that historically turns it over a bunch. So you're going to have to go earn it. But you can do that tonight. But again, you can't give up those yards, those little mistakes that have been killers.
We'll take a quick break here on the Pregame Blitz and bring in Christian Clemente to talk with Jason about what is a big recruiting week, big recruiting game, obviously, with Georgia coming to town.
And Jason, we talked about it during Thursday Night Live. Look, a game doesn't necessarily impact recruiting as much as people may think, but for where this Auburn staff is, where this team is, where this recruiting class is, this is a game where I'm not saying you're going to go flip 3 guys and get 5 commitments if you win, but it really feels like you can change some things.
I agree.
You can get a big shift if you pull off a win, especially with how packed the recruiting section is going to be.
Yeah, this is a momentum game. That's the thing. You're either trying to get it or you're trying to keep it. Right now, Auburn's trying to get it back. You're trying to get back that momentum. You had a little bit early in the season. Can you get that momentum back? And this is a good time to start, because again, another night game next week against a pretty good Missouri team. You win this one, and then it amps things up even more for next week. You feel like all of a sudden, you got a shot. But it starts tonight, and like I said, this week, one game, to me, I've never thought one game impacts a recruiting class. I do think this one impacts it as much as any I can remember, because of where you are. It's year 3. You're kind of teetering on, can you get over the hump? Can you get there?
Guys just want to see
they want to
a
see
little
it.
bit more.
They want to see it, absolutely.
Yeah, they want to see it. And speaking of guys that want to see it, the guy that we think is really close to potentially having a decision, potentially flipping, Lasiah Jackson. He's on his official visit. The Stanford cornerback commit from Lee County, Georgia, visited for the Ball State game. Talked to him after the game, and he's like, I messed up. He's like, I should have visited here a long time ago. He's like, I love this place. They've been trying to get me in. I just haven't visited. Obviously, people may hear Stanford and think, why can't Auburn flip that kid? Look, he's a very smart kid. He loves the academic opportunities that Stanford offers, but he really likes Auburn.
Close to home.
Yes, close to home. Really feel like Auburn has a chance to potentially get him in the boat. Win or lose, depending on what a loss looks like, still feel like they have a really good chance to get him in the class this weekend.
Yeah, and that DB group, you look at the DBs and you go, man, this defense, the way it's playing, Auburn's put DBs in the NFL the last few years. Look, there's a lot to like about if you're a defensive back thinking about Auburn, and that's one of those guys.
Jason Tank Jones makes his return. That's a guy that we're going to be keeping a really close eye on. Look, he plays things very close to the vest. I don't think he's going to say a whole lot after the game. If he does talk, it's all going to be very guarded, and that's just how he approaches things.
Yeah.
Fair. That's completely fine. Another edge rusher that we're watching, we'll see if he shows up this weekend on Saturday. Trenton Henderson, the 5-star LSU commit, think there's a chance he shows up as well.
Yeah.
So it would be huge if you could get those two guys, two of your top edge targets who you've lost a little bit of traction with over the past few months, that you'd like to make up some ground with and really get back in the mix.
Yeah, absolutely. You think about guys like that. Think about Shadarius Tootle. There's a group of guys that you've had on campus a bunch. That this is your chance to showcase and go, look, this is what we told you was going to happen. This is what we told you is possible, and that's why this game has a little bit more oomph to it than maybe most individual games do.
Yeah, and speaking of Shadarius Tootle, Georgia commit, Jay Lamar, Georgia commit, pair of Georgia commits there. It's always a kind of unique. Some people, on the board are like, oh, don't even invite them to the game. Don't get them in there.
Yeah.
When you're going after high-level elite guys that are top-of-your board guys like Jay Lamar, you take every chance you get to get them to campus, and your hope is you can say, hey, look, we can win this game.
Absolutely.
We did win this game. That's your hope.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Those guys have been here a bunch. It'd be different if you brought a guy that had been committed to Georgia for 2 years and had never been to your campus before. These are guys that have invested in you. You've invested in them. Just another opportunity to get them on campus, no matter who you're playing. Just so happens you're playing Georgia.
Speaking of running backs, Cooper Crosby, the former Louisiana commit, decommitted on Friday. Xavier Rucker, decommitted from Georgia Tech earlier this week. Both of those guys on campus. Curious to see what they have to say after the game. A guy to watch closely, Deshaun Spencer, the Duke wide receiver commit from Saraland. Continue to keep an eye on him. Feel like, look, we've been saying it since before the season. Auburn was going to keep an eye on him. They were going to see how he played early in the season, see how he performed.
Feels like he's doing this right now.
Yep. It seems like Auburn has really liked what they've seen. Marcus Davis went to go and see him last week, evaluation during the bye week. Not saying something's going to happen today, but we continue to feel really good about him ending up in Auburn's class in the long term.
Yeah, I agree. So, there's several of those players you start thinking about going, just keep a guy in mind. There'll be some other guys. You mentioned Cooper Crosby. We talked about it before this year started. This could be a year where you look up in October, November, and there's players that haven't been on the board that all of a sudden pop up. He's one of those guys that they've kind of kept going. Now it feels like it's heating up a little bit between maybe him, Auburn, and Mississippi State as this thing kind of grows for him.
Jason, do want to mention Oliver Miller, the offensive tackle, coming down on an unofficial visit from Colorado, committed to Kansas State. Look, anytime a guy makes that trip unofficial, he's paying for it on his own dime. It's noteworthy. Sometimes it's hey, he has more interest than they have. This is mutual. Auburn really likes this kid. They're really excited that he's coming down. This is a get him in, see him in person, set up an official visit for later in the year, see what happens as they continue, have 3 offensive line commits, keep building that class, probably get a couple more there. So he's a name to keep an eye on. That's an interesting one. And then Donovan Moore, the 2027 defensive lineman from Hueytown. Loves him some Vontrell King Williams. He's a guy that I'm not saying something's going to happen today, but keep watching him closely. I totally forgot the Wells brothers.
Yep.
That's what happens when you
there's a lot of guys.
You don't have the list right in front of you, and you're just kind of naming it off the top of your head.
Yeah, those guys are 2 guys we've been keeping on for a long time. You've been kind of monitoring them. They've been here before, back again. This could be, again, a tipping point game for guys like that as well.
Yeah, so we'll have all that covered at auburnundercover.com. When people are watching this pregame, the game day recruiting notebook is already up. Fans, the students are filtering in for what should be
it's going to be wild.
What should be for a wild game. Cam Newton's jersey retirement. If you're here on the YouTube, we'll have video with Cam Newton. He's doing a media availability beforehand, so stay tuned for that here. auburnundercover.com. All the game coverage at auburnundercover.com. And then Jason and Nathan will be back for the post-game pod as well.
Post-game.
So appreciate everyone for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys soon.